I do want to touch on, and this is a question just for, an agent. I feel like I always hear about the deals that, do get done, all the max contracts and record breaking contracts and things like that. But I'm actually curious, are there failures as an agent? Because, I played at Notre Dame. And so as a former player, I understand the failures that an athlete goes through, whether it be, injuries, whether it be a drop pass, anything like that. But as an agent, you may pursue several, prospects in an upcoming draft and hopefully, land one or two. But are there any, failures that an agent, has to go through?
Absolutely. The recruiting side in particular, I would say sometimes, and I'm guilty of this, I've spent a lot of time recruiting a player that probably was never going to be a good fit for Rock, and we weren't a good fit for him. And I probably should have identified that early on because it would have saved me some time and energy and the player that too. Because sometimes it's just you end up realizing it was not going to be a good fit. So if you can get that impression early on and save yourself that time and energy, then that's great. So that's one failure on the recruiting side. Because there are some players that when it comes down to it at the end, just care about the financials, meaning who's going to, things happen. They take bags of cash, like this is real. Like people just write a check just to get someone to sign or reduce commissions so low that you can't even, really run a business that way. So, and some players, that's the most important thing. It's not about the quality necessarily of the representation, but it's a little short-sighted in my view. But it's who's going to give me the quote unquote best deal right now. So that's certainly on the recruiting side, the mistakes that you can make. On the contract side, I think something that agents can make mistakes on and need to be cognizant of is timing. Timing is everything. And if you have a player that for instance, has an injury that's going to have to be addressed like in the off season, you've got a really good offer on the table and you maybe would want to hold out for a little more, but you've got to make that judgment call that, hey, we should probably take this deal because if we wait, you're probably going to lose value if you don't get it at the right time. So it worked in our favor with Ronnie Stanley. I knew he was banged up before we did his deal with the Ravens with his shoulder, and we were going to have to get it done the end of the season. It was still October and we were negotiating, but I had that in the back of my mind, like we need to do this season. And so we ended up getting the deal done and, record-breaking deal for Ronnie. And he signed the deal on a Friday. 48 hours later, he had a season-ending injury on the Sunday. So the timing worked out in our favor. Had we waited and, been stubborn and just tried to squeeze the team for a little more, that deal would never have gotten done in retrospect, because of how it worked out with the injury. So I think for agents can really miscalculate on the timing of getting a deal done and how important that is.
Mhm.